What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another AFC YouTube video. And we are in complete NFL offseason mode, and you know what that means? Not a lot is happening. We're in that weird period between the Super Bowl and free agency starting where nothing's really happening. I mean, this year has kind of been a little bit abnormal because we're actually getting trades happening before the offseason officially begins with, you know, the Matt Stafford and Carson Wentz deals, and there's no combine, so we're not getting any rumors coming out of the combine or any really deep prospect numbers because all the pro days are kind of spread out. So this period right now is pretty slow, to be honest with you. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to take a look at my preseason predictions for the 2020 NFL season. And to be honest with you guys, I have not looked at these since I uploaded this video. I haven't watched this since I edited it. And I know some of the things that I did with this. I remember some specific things. I think I remember I did pretty well on some things, but some things I did poorly on. But otherwise, let's just see how I did. Before we get started with this video, I just wanted to say this video is brought to you by Prize Picks, the simplest form of fantasy sports betting right now. You pick 2 to 5 players and can win up to 10 times on any entry. It allows multi-sports, so you can do Mahomes over on fantasy points and an under on LeBron James. If you sign up using the code ALLSPORTS, you'll receive an instant deposit match of up to $100. Check it out on the App Store or web browser. Prize Picks. Use code ALLSPORTS for up to $100 deposit. All right, so I'm actually not too mad about this prediction. I mean, I pretty much nailed the Bengals. The Ravens, I was pretty close. They went 11-5, I think. So that wasn't too bad. The Steelers, I was right that I thought they were going to be really good this year. I didn't think they were going to be 13-3 good because I thought Ben Roethlisberger just wasn't it anymore. And I thought their offense was going to hold them back. And ultimately, that is exactly what happened in the playoffs. The main thing I got wrong here was Cleveland. The reason why I was lower on Cleveland than a lot of people is because, you know, last year, 2019 kind of left a sour taste in my mouth about that roster because the entire team was kind of similar to the one last year. It's just their offensive line was a lot better. And I didn't really know how Stefanski was going to do as their head coach. I didn't expect him to be that successful in his first year, but I still liked the hire when it happened. I just thought their defense was terrible, and I just didn't expect Baker to be as good as he was at the end of the season that he actually turned out to be. Yeah, that's the thing I mainly got wrong with this, but I got the rankings pretty much right, except for the Steelers would be over the Ravens. All right, NFC North. I'm going to just put this out there. I kind of nailed the NFC North. I know the rankings aren't exactly what happened, but I pretty much nailed my projection of it. I expected both the Vikings and the Bears to be around 500 teams, and I expected the Lions to not be that good again. And I mean, everyone should have expected that because it was the Lions. But the Lions, they're a team that always gets a ton of hype before the season because, like, oh, they have Stafford, they have Galladay, they have Jones, Swift, Hawkinson. Their line is pretty all right. And they're adding defensive pieces. No, they had Matt Patricia as a head coach, and that just tells me everything I needed to know because I knew he sucked, and obviously he got fired mid-season. I think everyone could have saw that coming from a mile away. But I'm very proud that I did well with the NFC North. I didn't think Green Bay was going to be 13-3 again, and I'm a Packers fan. I didn't think they would because I kind of saw that roster is kind of similar to the year prior in 2019. I knew they were going to be a better team, which they were this year, even though they made it as far as they did in 2019. They were clearly a better team. It's just I didn't expect them to win as many games because their schedule was not as easy as it was in 2019. Yeah, I'm very proud that I got the NFC North pretty much to a T. I mean, it's a division that I'm a fan of, obviously. And I knew the Bears and the Vikings were both going to be around 500. I even say in this video, I'm pretty sure, that I had the Bears above Minnesota, but I switched it last minute or something of this sort. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy with this. And I knew, like, there was a lot of people saying that Green Bay was going to fall off. There was no chance that was going to happen. There was no chance that was going to happen. There were people, I think their like win projection from Vegas was like 8.5. I mean, that's the easiest over bet of your life, especially if Aaron Rodgers is at quarterback, and you saw what Matt LaFleur did in his first year as head coach. So all in all, I'm very happy with the NFC North, and I'm just gonna say it, I nailed this. Even though I don't have the rankings perfect, I projected each team correctly. AFC South. Okay, this one, all right, this one's not so pretty. All right, Jacksonville. Everyone thought Jacksonville was probably gonna be the worst team in the NFL, and we all were right. Most of us had the Jets or the Jags being the worst teams in the NFL, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, I had the Jags winning one more game than they actually did. Here is the funny part. So I actually thought this division was going to be a really close race. I did. Indy was going to be really damn good, and I was right about that. I was pretty spot on with their projection. I had them at 10-6. They turned out to be 11-5. I damn near picked them to beat the Bills in the first round. I mean, if you listen to my playoff predictions video, I kind of insinuated that. The main culprit here is Houston. Houston, I had at 9-7. Now, I don't remember exactly why I was so high on the Texans. It's probably because I love Deshaun Watson so much. I have such a big bias for Deshaun Watson because he was my favorite quarterback in 2017's draft class. He was my second favorite player overall behind Myles Garrett. So I always have an affinity for Deshaun Watson. And I also have a big bias towards J.J. Watt because he's my favorite non-Packers player of all time for the NFL. And for Tennessee, I wasn't that high on Tennessee. I thought they were going to kind of fall off a little bit for their offense because I thought Tannehill was putting up some ridiculous stats for his level of quarterback play. I just didn't think that would stay consistent with the next season. But Derrick Henry ran for 2,000 yards. I knew their defense was going to be atrocious, and I was right. But I thought I gave them an 8-8 record because I thought this division race was going to be closer than it actually was. I mean, it was close between the Titans and Colts, but I knew Tennessee wasn't going to be like a playoff contender or like a true contender. And a lot of people were kind of projecting them to be that, and I didn't really see it. So I was kind of right in that aspect, but also I didn't have them making the playoffs. This was all right, but Houston obviously being the third worst team in the NFL and Deshaun Watson wanting to be traded now, that's not very good. NFC South. I'm not too mad about this. All right, so I pretty much nailed the Saints and Buccaneers records. I knew that New Orleans was going to be good again. I think everyone knew that. They were still good without Drew Brees, and I mean, Drew Brees is what held them back ultimately in the playoffs, and I knew that they weren't going to be that good in the playoffs again, and I did that in my playoff picks. And Tampa, I was very, very interested in as a team. I really liked them coming into the season. I just thought they were going to have some woes and some growing pains early in the season, but they were actually pretty good at the start of the season. But they kind of went through a little bit of issues like mid to late season, and then they kind of caught fire near the end of the season and into the playoffs, obviously, because they won the Super Bowl. But they were 10-6. They finished 11-5. I will take that gladly. Atlanta, I'm not too mad about picking 7-9 for them. They had a lot of close losses and they just blew a ton of games, so I'm not too terribly mad about that. I still stand by their roster is pretty mediocre, and they are not a 4-12 level team if they have a good coach. Like if they have Raheem Morris as their coach for the entire season, I'm pretty sure they would finish closer to 7-9 than 4-12. And Carolina, I didn't think was going to be as fun as they were. Props to Matt Rule and Joe Brady. AFC East. All right. The Jets, 3-13. We all expected them to be bad. Miami. All right. Miami. I'm really sorry for this record prediction. And I was right. I don't know why I had them at 6-10. I liked Miami coming into the year too. I don't know why I had them at 6-10. New England, I'm pretty sure they went 7-9. I'll gladly take that. I didn't think Cam was going to be like MVP Cam like some people were expecting him to be, and I was right. I mean, they're not going to re-sign him. And Buffalo. Everyone knew Buffalo was going to be the best team in the AFC East this season. I just didn't expect them to be 13-3 good. I saw their defense being a heavy regression candidate, And I didn't expect Josh Allen to be as good as he was this season. I don't think anyone did. But yeah, I mean, AFC East, I'd say I hit on 2 of them, and I narrowly missed on Buffalo, but Miami's the big miss here. But so far, I haven't done too bad, in all honesty, but I have had some misses here and there. Oh, God. All right, you know how I just said that I haven't had any misses really? Well, this entire division is a miss. Holy shit. This is terrible. To begin with, Dallas at 11-5. I will stand by this take. I've said this numerous times on the podcast. If Dak Prescott did not get injured, Dallas would have won the NFC East. And I think everyone can agree on that. Because he was throwing for 2,000 yards in 5 games at the start of the season, which is utterly ridiculous. And that offense was clicking with him, and they should pay him this offseason, but who really knows what's going to happen with that. But 11-5, I don't know if they would have finished 11-5, maybe like 9-7 or 8-8. I surely think they would have won the division, though. I stand by that. Philadelphia. I don't think anyone saw Carson Wentz's terrible play coming. No one saw it coming. Literally no one. I kind of expected a 2019-esque year out of him where he'd be good but not like great, because I understood the talent around him wasn't that great. But I still saw that offensive line being great, and obviously that offensive line got injured to shit. And, you know, so many things went wrong with the Eagles this season, and they've just been a dumpster fire for the past, 6 months. I mean, it led to Carson Wentz getting traded, Doug Peterson getting fired, and so much more. Eagles are going to suck next year is what I'm getting at. And where I really missed was Washington and New York. I really was not high on New York. I'm going to be completely straight up with you. I didn't really like the Joe Judge hire. I hated the Jason Garrett OC hiring. Patrick Graham, I didn't have an opinion on, really. I didn't think their personnel on defense was that good. I knew that D-line was going to be all right, but I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. Same with their secondary. I didn't think their secondary was going to be that good either, and it was pretty all right, especially with like Bradbury and that safety group were really nice. And the linebackers, I mean, I thought Blake Martinez was going to be horrible because he was bad for Green Bay, because I'm so accustomed to his play in Green Bay. He was good for the Giants. Where the Giants fell short this season was their offense, and Daniel Jones, even though he had his moments, he still, I don't think, is proven to be a franchise quarterback so far, and they need to do a better job of, putting weapons around him. And then Washington, I did predict correctly that Washington was going to be better than New York, and I knew that was like a hot topic of debate before the season because no one really expected Washington to be better than Philly or Dallas. I saw the potential in that defense because I knew that defensive line was going to be elite. That D-line is probably going to be the best in the NFL, and it was arguably behind the Steelers. Where I didn't see it was their secondary. I didn't think was going to be that good. Ronald Darby and Cameron Curl were really good this season for them. What a great find in Curl in the 7th round. And obviously, I didn't think their offense was going to be good. I didn't. And obviously, that is what really hurt them down the stretch. And Heineke almost won them the playoff game, but they nearly didn't make the playoffs because of their offense. So NFC East, I think everyone missed on the NFC East this season pretty much, but I surely definitely did. AFC West, I think I did pretty good on it. The Chiefs obviously being the best team in the AFC West, we all expected that to happen, obviously. Raiders at number 2, I did give them a little bit more wins than they ended up getting, so whatever, I'll take it. Denver and LA, this is all right. I mean, I didn't think the Chargers were going to be good. If you guys were watching this channel before the season and you listened to our podcast and all that, I was not a big Justin Herbert believer. I did not like him as a prospect coming out, and I expected him not to be very good. Starting out in the NFL, him to have growing pains and Tyrod to be the starter for a bit of the season. Yeah, that didn't happen. He was fantastic for a rookie. I mean, he's all that you could ask for a rookie season. And they ended up being better than Denver at the end. Whatever. The AFC West, it wasn't that terrible. I'll take it. But last but not least, we have the NFC West. I am going to just say this. All right, so I nailed Arizona. I expected them to be a fun team, an exciting roster, but they were going to be held down by certain issues on offense and their defense not being that good, and I was completely right on that. I was right on Seattle. I expected their offense to be really dynamic and their defense to, play competently. And that's exactly what happened, but Seattle still had such major holes on their team, at pass rusher, at the offensive line, and at corner. And that's what showed through in the playoffs against the Rams. The big misses here, obviously, are San Francisco and LA. I am going to defend my San Francisco pick till the day I die, because I truly believe if San Francisco was healthy the entire season, or was majorly healthy for a lot of the season, they probably would be in the playoffs. I stick by that. I love San Francisco's roster, their coaching, and everything. And I think they are a very real, legitimate bounce back candidate next season. My main miss here was the LA Rams. I had them going 8-8. I didn't think their defense was going to be as good as it was. And they obviously switched to Brandon Staley, and no one expected Brandon Staley to be as damn good as he was. And their defense obviously was the thing that kept them alive and made them really good. And the offense is what ultimately held them back, which is weird to say because it was a Sean McVay team. But Brandon Staley is what made the Rams last year. And now they have Matt Stafford. And I'll just say this. I expect the NFC West. You see these projections here? Honestly, I don't think they're going to change much for next year, because I'm not that high on the Cardinals, and those three NFC West teams, oh boy, that's going to be a fun division next year. But now, let's get on to my playoff predictions. This is interesting. So let's start with the AFC. So I have the Chiefs at 1, Ravens at 2, Colts at 3, Bills at 4, Steelers 5, Texans 6, Raiders 7. So I hit on 5 of them. I missed on the Browns and the Titans. The Raiders, I had them narrowly making the playoffs. I think I had them tying with New England initially in my projections for the season. I think I had them tied with the Patriots at first. And I think I last minute changed the Patriots to not make the playoffs and the Raiders to make the playoffs, because I like the Raiders just a smidge more. Then we can just not bring this up. Let's not look at that. The NFC. So I hit on 4 teams, obviously Dallas and Philly, but here I had Green Bay losing to the Seahawks. I remember I really liked the Seahawks coming into the season, but as the season wore on, I became super critical of them. Once the playoffs, came around, I was very much not a fan of them. And if you watched my playoff predictions, you would know that I had them losing in the first round to the Rams in those predictions, and I obviously was right. And Green Bay proved a lot more to me in the regular season than I expected them to. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was the MVP, obviously. I will say this. I loved Tampa, as a playoff team, though. I really did. And I had them going to the NFC Championship, but losing to Seattle, as I predicted Russell Wilson to win MVP. I was right on that for about a fourth of the season. Tampa over New Orleans. I'll take it. I will take it. My Super Bowl was Seattle Chiefs. I got the Chiefs right, I will say. And if I had Tampa beating Seattle, I would have had Tampa Chiefs. But I nearly picked Tampa, but I didn't want to overreact to them in one season. I was wrong in that instance because they are Super Bowl champions. But if I did have them make the Super Bowl, I would have had them lose to the Chiefs. I was so high on the Chiefs. But otherwise, I got, 9 out of 14 playoff teams right? So that's not as good as I remember it being. It was a crazy season, and it was a lot of fun. But what were your guys' predictions for the NFL season before the season even began? I'd love to hear them, and if you had any wild takes, leave them in the comments below, because some of them are really funny to look back on, because there are a lot of old takes, exposed potential content for this stuff. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to All Sports Culture here on YouTube. Thank you again. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.